Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Gary Dunn Show for the week of September 16th, 2024. I'm Gary Smith, and Coach Dunn is going to join me, and we're going to talk about this past weekend's win on the road at Westchester. We're going to look at what all went down in the PSAC this weekend, look ahead to what's happening this weekend, and look ahead to the California at Lock Haven away game. We should just put that on there. It's been 3 straight away games, Coach. Glad you're off the road for a little bit. A long trip on Friday and Saturday, but a successful trip to Westchester. First question I have for you is, we talked a little bit last week. Some of the issues you had figured was just because Charleston had played a game. Your team was in its first game. So as a coach, what did you see from the end of the game, first week of practice going into week 2?
Yeah, thought we took a step in the right direction. I think some of the things that we made mistakes on the first week, we got corrected. I thought we played with better effort for the most part. I thought our downfield blocking by our wide receivers got much better. I thought defense running to the football was something we preached all week, got much better. I thought we took a step in the right direction. Still things we got to work on. We got to learn how to finish out a game. We're up 31-7. We need to close the game right there and put that away. And unfortunately, didn't do that. But that's something we can learn and grow from. We're constantly trying to get better, and we need to take another step in the right direction against a good Lock Haven team this week.
And before we talk about that, we're just going to keep talking about Westchester and Coach. Second week on the road. This one probably a little bit longer of a trip. What was it like getting out there? It's a team you have some familiarity with, but not a team you play every year. But what was it like just getting out there and hitting the pads?
Yeah, I thought our guys did a really good job on the travel. We're obviously getting used to it. We've got 3 of our 3 first games on the road and 5 out of our first 6, so we better get used to it. But I thought they did a good job. They relaxed. We went on the road and practiced out near the hotel and felt like we had a good workout, had a team dinner, felt like the guys were locked in, and really liked the way we started the football game. They won the toss and deferred, so we got the football and went, I think, 75 yards and scored a touchdown. Second possession, we stalled out in the red zone due to mistakes of our own, which is becoming a habit. We got to get that corrected this week. But second possession, kicked the field goal, and here we are. We're up 10-0. But I thought the guys handled the trip well. Westchester is a tough place to play. If you go back through the record books of what they do against crossover teams at home, we had played out there a few years ago and lost on the last play of the game. It's a tough place to play at home. They're well coached. They're very athletic. So I was happy with the way we started the game.
And I tell you what, your defense did a very good job at the end of that first half. Westchester had a little bit of a drive going, but then trying to score before the end of the half, defense comes up with a big turnover. That kind of didn't seal the deal, but it definitely changed momentum going into halftime.
I thought that was a big part in the game. We go down and we score. We're using our timeouts. We're trying to run a little bit of clock out to get it as much time off as we can. Now, obviously, we're trying to score, but if I think we ran a play and didn't get in, so I let the play clock all the way down, call a timeout. I feel comfortable that we're going to score from the 1-yard line, but I wanted to also use as much clock as I could. Unfortunately, we took a dumb penalty. Let's fast forward. Sorry. So we end up scoring, and the defense gets the big pick. So it was a 14-point turnaround within about a minute to go in the half. Unfortunately, we took a penalty on the second touchdown that backed us up on our kickoff. That's something we can't do, and we're going to address today. But the defense bailed us out, and it was able to knock down a Hail Mary. So I really liked the way, again, we started the football game. I thought the first half we played pretty clean football. I thought our defense was dominant at times. I loved the way they ran to the football. Offensively, we were efficient. I think we only punted 1 time in the first half. So I thought, things were going the way we wanted them. But and I'm sure we're going to get to the second half. We've got to finish better. It's not who we are, who we want to be. We've got to finish games off better.
I was going to say, what was the message in the locker room at halftime? I mean, we're still at that point. You're 6 quarters into the season, on the road for the second straight week, 2 or 3 straight weeks. But what's your message to the team in the locker room just to go out and try and finish?
Yeah, just our culture. Play the next play. Don't worry about what's happened in the first half. It's 0-0. We're going to play the next play as hard as we can. We're going to do our assignment. We're going to be physical doing it. And I thought we did that for most of the third quarter. But when we get to the fourth quarter, I think we got tired a little bit. I think we got complacent a little bit. And good championship football teams don't do that. Championship football teams end the game when they can. Now, I never felt like the game was in doubt, but I felt like we let them hang around, and now we're worried about hands team and onside kicks and things of that nature where it shouldn't have got to that.
And, Coach, looking at some of the numbers, I mean, I think every football coach since the beginning of time, or at least since the beginning of the forward pass, has preached balance. And through the air, your team threw for 248 yards, on the ground 278 yards. What does that make you feel as a coach and a staff?
We always strive for balance. I think we want to do it on our terms. We want to run the football when we want to run the football. We want to throw the football when we want to throw the football. But a lot of times too, it's defense dictated. If they're gonna give you boxes to run into, then we're going to take advantage of that. So I thought we were extremely efficient. I think we had a number of guys catch the football, so we're spreading the football around. We had a number of guys carry the football. I think Davis probably had his best rushing game here at Cal U. Bobby had another nice game. Eric McCann broke some long runs. So I like the balance within the run to pass, but I also like the balance of us spreading the ball out and having multiple weapons.
Well, looking at the rushing numbers, you have 3 guys that had over 65 yards rushing, led by Bobby Boyd Jr., 95 yards. Davis Black, 73 yards, and if you look, 3 touchdowns running and 1 on just a beautiful bootleg around 60-yard run. Might have to put him on the track team. He looked like he was pulling away from guys at the end there.
He was. That's as fast as I've seen Davis run. But Davis can run the football. He had a rushing touchdown on a quarterback sneak. He scrambled for another one and did a nice job. And then obviously that play we had 2 tight ends on the backside, and we got a couple blocks back there, and there was nobody else. Everybody else was chasing the tailback. So, we've got to diversify our run game, and Davis, if teams are going to chase our tailbacks, has got to be a threat, and I think he was on Saturday.
And Eric McCann, the last trio, Vulcans over 65 yards. He had 69 yards for a touchdown. Looking at the passing numbers, Davis Black 15 to 24, 248 and a touchdown. 9 receivers caught balls in that game for your team. And you just mentioned that's the kind of balance and weapons you want to have.
And we took care of the football. We turned the ball over one time in, I believe it was the 4th quarter or late in the 3rd quarter on a screen. It was kind of a bang-bang play. I'm not sure he ever had possession of that, but that was the call that was made. So I thought Davis did a better job of taking care of the football.
If we turn over the defensive side of the ledger here on the stats, Coach, your team had 4 tackles for loss, 21 yards lost against Westchester, and also 4 sacks for another 21 yards. So that's that's getting it done. That's living in the backfield.
Yeah, I thought defense played well for about 3 quarters and, couple minutes, but in the 4th, I wasn't happy with the way we played. I think we got tired. We've got to finish games off, and we've got to tackle better when we're tired. That's something that we're going to preach and work this week, but we've got to get off the field on 4th down in the 4th quarter, and unfortunately we didn't do that. I think we've gave up 4 or 5 4th down conversions in the 4th quarter, which is unacceptable. We got to be better there.
And the last note, you mentioned you had kicked a field goal at the big end of the first half. And what's it like once again to have a guy like Anthony Bico kicking field goals? You've got to have total trust in him at this point in his career.
Anthony's doing a really good job right now. And I tell you what, he's doing a better job. He's really improved his kickoffs. We didn't have many touchbacks last year on our kickoff team, and I think we had 5 Saturday and probably had 4 last week. He's really improved that. He's just ready to go. There was a point in that game where we were up. I think it might have been 31-14, and we'd had about a 50-yard field goal that I elected to go for it on 4th down because I thought really the only way they could get back in that game is some type of big momentum splash play, blocking a kick and going the other way. So I chose not to kick the 50-yarder, and I told him, I said, here's why I'm not kicking it. And he goes, I understand, Coach, but I would have made it. So Anthony has a lot of confidence right now, and he's going to be a big weapon for us as we get on this road. And
you got to love the confidence going through the rest of the season. We're only 2 weeks in.
2 weeks in.
Let's take a look at the highlights from this past weekend from our friends out at Westchester and the PSAC Network, and when we come back, we'll break down what happened in the rest of the PSAC crossover week 1 and talk about this upcoming week's opponent, the Lock Haven Bald Eagles. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Digital Network.
Ball set on the right hash from the Westchester 1. It's a handoff up the middle, plowing forward, and in for the touchdown is Eric McCann III. From the left hash, snap good, hold good. The kick is on the way, end over end, and it is good. Williams alone set back. Hand to Jaden up the middle. Powers through into the end zone for the touchdown. Lining up behind is the tight end, Kalechi. A quarterback sneak. This time, Black is across the goal line, and they do whistle him in now for the touchdown. takes a low snap, drops back, steps up, goes deep down the middle, got a man, it is tipped and incomplete. Was that picked? It was. They say it never hit the turf. Running the other way with the football across midfield and down to the Westchester 42-yard line. It's a pistol set, dropping back under pressure, taking off and running in for the touchdown is Davis Black. Jordan, shotgun, hands it off. This is Jaden Williams up the middle into the end zone for the Westchester touchdown. Takes the waist high snap. It's a play action. He keeps it this time out to the left, and he is gone. Untouched, 20-10 touchdown, 60 yards for Davis Black.
More than 7,500 student athletes working to become champions in the league's 23 championship sports. 17 member campuses, educating more than 110,000 students, with an alumni base that tops the 1 million mark. The Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference making the PSAC proud.
Vulcan football is back and ready to take on the best the PSAC has to offer this fall. After road games at Charleston, Westchester, and Lock Haven, the Vulcans return to Adamson Stadium for the home opener on September 28th. Save the date for October 19th and homecoming versus Slippery Rock. The Coal Bowl comes to Addison Stadium on October 26th versus IUP. The home schedule concludes with back-to-back games on November 9th versus Edinboro and Senior Day November 16th versus Shippensburg. For up-to-date information on the Vulcans, follow Cal Vulcans on social media or go to calvulcans.com. For live games and highlights, go to CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube or the PSAC Digital Network.
Sports fans, we pack stadiums, arenas, and local gyms every day. And every sports fan is uniquely human. Seeing each play with your own eyes, triggering your own emotions. And as humans, we won't agree on every call, but we can act with empathy and consideration. So put yourself in the official shoes. Be more than a fan. Be officially human.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show. We just came back from a commercial break and looked at some highlights. And once again, I think Coach's play of the week has to be, at least for a splash play, Davis Black 60-yard bootleg. And again, like I said, I told you when you came in, I looked at some of the stats. I thought you guys might have went to a wishbone a little bit. Some of the old broken eye with quarterback scoring because 2 straight weeks, multiple touchdowns.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job. And I think we were all shocked that he made it to the end zone, but Davis is doing a good job. And I tell you what, the O-line did a nice job on that play in the 2 tight ends. We had 2 tight ends on the backside that were able to pick up 2 blocks, and there was nobody there. So it was a good scheme by Coach McLean and Coach Salisbury, and the kids executed it well.
And one thing we didn't talk about a little bit, we touched, on the balance, but, the growth from week 1 to week 2 on both sides of the ball on the line. It looked like your offensive line was people movers out there at points in the game.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way they played. Westchester plays a couple different fronts, and I thought our coaches, our offensive staff had a good plan going into it, but it's got to be executed. And I thought our guys were very physical up front, and they got up, more importantly, probably on the second level. Westchester ran what we call a 55 front, and so they've got 4 linebackers in there, and I thought we blocked the second level really well, which allowed some big runs.
And one last note about Westchester is, once again, we touched upon it last week, but a lot of fans, a lot of alumni.
Yeah, I tell you, it's I love when we head out to the eastern part of the state because it's an opportunity that for me to see some of my former teammates that I haven't seen. Tony Todd, who was a tailback here when I was a a player came and saw me. Now, I'm a little disappointed in some of them. They all watched the show. They chose to stay at the tailgate instead of coming and seeing me. So Ryan Catalesic, who was an offensive lineman here with me, was there. Scott Aquilina was a DB. He was there. John DeFrugio, linebacker. Harry Hirsch. A lot of my former teammates and former Vulcans made the trip out, so it's good to see them. I got to get them in the stadium a little bit quicker. I think they were enjoying the tailgate a little too much.
So we talked about growth from week 1 to week 2. So growth week 2 to week 3, bring the fun into the stadium, especially this week on the road at Lockhaven. We'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, next week we're home. We can talk about that later, get tailgates going there. But before we break down Lockhaven and look ahead, let's take a look back and see what else happened in the PSAC. First week of crossover action. As we talked ad nauseum, California 38 over Westchester 28. Kutztown defeating Edinburgh 26-0. Slippery Rock going to Shepherd, winning 20-10. Shippensburg rallying in the last couple minutes of the game to defeat Clarion 24-21. Seton Hill nips Bloomsburg 15-14. IUP at Lockhaven 20-17 in a game that was back and forth to the very end. And then East Stroudsburg at home over Gannon 24-7. But Coach, this week's opponent, Lockhaven Bald Eagles, a team that really starting to make some noise in the East and rise up the ranks. Played a very tough IUP team, close in one of the biggest games they've had in a long time. And I know they have a host of new players, but we're going to break it down one side of the ball at a time. Offensively, what have you seen on film?
Yeah, I think it all starts with their culture. Their coaching staff has changed the culture there and got those kids believing and playing really, really hard. They're a good football team. Week 1, you look back, they go down to Glenville State on the road and win handily. Week 2, a play here or there, and they beat Indiana. Offensively, it all kind of starts with their quarterback. He's a good football player. He does a good job of distributing the ball. He gets out, I don't know that he's the running quarterback that we faced against Westchester, but he gets out of trouble. He's very elusive. And probably the difference is when he gets out of trouble, he's looking to throw the football down the field. They have explosive receivers. He gets out of trouble and he's looking to throw the ball, where last week the kid was probably looking to run a little bit. They've got a strong run game. They're big up front. They're very efficient, very similar in offense to us. They're going to be a balanced offense. They're going to run inside zone. But probably the strength is their quarterback and wide receivers. They got some kids that can flat go outside. They got a couple big kids. They've got a nice complement of receivers. Their receivers remind me of my receivers. We've got a small one that can run. You got a big one that goes up and gets it. So they're talented and they do a good job up front. So it's going to be a tough test for our defense. We've got to get back to running to the football. When we get an opportunity to get the quarterback on the ground, we've got to do that. I've seen, I don't know how many big plays where he's made somebody miss, and next thing you know, it's a 60-yard play down the field. So they're doing a nice job.
And just watching a little bit of film, looks like he's a guy that has really good arm strength that can just fire that rock from any point of the field. Yeah,
he's doing a really good job, and like I said, he's going to take some chances and find open guys after he scrambles. So it's we're going to have to contain him. We're going to have to do a better job of our rush contain, keeping him in the pocket and obviously doing a good job of covering downfield.
And now on the other side of the ball, what kind of fronts do they run? What kind of scheme do they run, and how do they look?
A little bit similar to Westchester. They base out of an odd front. I think they're extremely athletic on the back end. I think their safeties are probably the strength. Their corners are solid, but they're gonna play an odd front. Walking outside linebacker up and bring some pressure that way. Don't do a ton of blitzing, but when they do, they're gonna outnumber you and bring probably more than you can block. Athletic up front. I think their nose tackle is a really, really good football player. I think up front they're athletic and they shed blocks and get off. They're only giving up 14 points a game right now. Week 1 and week 2, you're a good defense if you're only giving up 14 points a game. They run to the football and they're a physical bunch. I think they play with a lot of energy. So we're going to have to just be methodical in our pace. We're going to have to, just play assignment football and get, take what they give us.
And what's the message to the team this week? We've mentioned it a couple of times. It's no surprise. No secret. 3 straight weeks on the road. And what do you, as a staff and a team and your team leaders, have to do to try and keep it from just getting into that grind? I mean, obviously Saturday when you're at the field, that's a little different. Everyone's excited, but just that preparation going into another road game, another long road game.
Yeah, just keep the main thing the main thing. It's about the action. We try and take care of our guys, and I think our administration does a great job allowing us to take care of our players. I think it's really a challenge when our league puts us, on the road to start this year. But our guys are handling it well. We talked about it in the spring. There's nothing we can do about it. We got to go play them. So we've got to do a nice balance of taking care of our guys, but also they got to understand that when we show up to the hotel, we're on a business trip, and when we wake up Saturday morning, I don't care where we play. It's time to go to work.
And Coach, what will the alumni
response
be?
You kind of center of the state this week, so I'm sure we'll get a good group. I'm sure I'll have some former teammates start to contact me. I know a couple already have, so it's it's fun. Vulcan Nation travels with us. I think our parents are doing a great job, and so if you're out there watching, let's get over to Lock Haven. What is it, Bud Murphy, or what stadium is something?
Hubert Jack Stadium.
There you go. I don't know where.
Bud Murphy's in Connellsville. We can do the show there one time.
I'm sure we'll have some alumni there.
And if you are on the fence about going, I will say that stadium is one of the nicest stadiums to watch a game from. It overlooks the river, and I know it's going to be a packed house, and love to see a lot of red and black in the stands. But let's take a look at the other schedule, the rest of the schedule in the PSAC for this second straight week of crossover play. So we mentioned California at Lock Haven, 1 o'clock. Bloomsburg at Edinburgh at noon. Westchester at Seton Hill at noon. Clarion at Shepherd at noon. Kutztown at Gannon at noon. Slippery Rock traveling to Shippensburg at 1, and then IUP at Millersville at 2 o'clock. But happy that we can finally get out to a game this week, so you can watch the game live on CTV Sports 1 and the PSAC Digital Network. So we'll be there, Coach. Bright and early. Our guys will looking forward to the 6 a.m. Leave time. But finally excited, and I know there's a lot of excitement around campus just about what you and your team have done this week.
We got to keep it rolling. I'm still a little disappointed in week 1, but I thought our kids took a step in the right direction and grew, and that's, as a coach, that's all you can ask is you got to get better each week, and I thought we did that. I have no doubt our guys will do that this week.
And once again, that game is 1 o'clock at Lock Haven. If you can, make the trip. If not, CTV Sports 1 has you covered. So for Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. We'll see you next week on The Gary Dunn Show.